All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How you all doing? Good to see you. Yes, that is a pigeon, a giant angry pigeon on the thumbnail. Yeah, weird story, breaking story. That everybody has already talked about at length this morning. It seems like. That the Wagner Group, the head of the Wagner Group, was doing some mutinous actions. So, and there's a lot of, because it just is a brand new story, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of misunderstanding. I can't purport to say that I understand everything about what's going on, but why is this important though? Because this, we're in basically a proxy war with a nuclear superpower, and it's a very unstable situation, which a lot of people are afraid will lead to an escalation. So. That's why it's important. Anyways, I just heard about this story last night, and I was, aghast, amazed, flabbergasted. Confused. But the basic rundown, we'll give you a basic rundown. Pigeon, the head of the Wagner Group, is at odds with the head of the Defense Ministry, Shoigu. I don't know how to say his name. And my actually, it's funny because my immediate thought, there's a lot of people saying that maybe the CIA is behind this, and that was when I heard this story. That was my immediate thought was, oh, well, you're talking about a mercenary group. You're talking about somebody who's leading a group of armed forces for hire. Why wouldn't we, why wouldn't they be, open to, or why wouldn't they be open to an offer from someone else? Or why couldn't, could their heads be turned? Could their attention be turned? Could their allegiances be turned? Of course, right? This is a mercenary group. So, all kinds of things can happen. The thing I want to stress is that I don't know for sure, but I think a lot of people have jumped to the conclusion that I jumped to, which is, maybe the West is getting what they want. The West has been calling this whole time, especially the U.S., for the ousting of Putin, for a regime change in Russia. And a lot of people were like, well, that's a silly thing to think that you're going to get or ask for. And at the moment this started, or that I heard about this, I was like, huh. maybe they're closer than I thought, or than anybody thought. Because up until now, it seems that Russia has been getting the upper hand in this war economically and strategically. And now this happens, which is kind of a blow to morale, or a blow to momentum, I guess. So who knows? Yeah, it looks like it's all been, I mean, it does, as I speak. So the story has been developing very quickly. As we speak, it looks like the situation has de-escalated quite a bit. So, and that's been within the last like 2 hours. So I put this show together a couple hours ago thinking, who knows which way this is going to go. It looked like it was escalating at some point. Now it looks like it's de-escalating. There's breaking here. We're turning around our troops and we're heading back to the front, et cetera, et cetera. But it seemed like the West jumped all over this, obviously, and why wouldn't they? As possible, trouble for, big trouble for Putin. So, who knows? This has been a really big story, though. Last night and this morning, this was a huge story. I don't know how deeply I want to go into it, but he basically was, saber rattling with Russian leadership, and apparently there was a report that the Russians bombed some of their troops, and he was obviously very upset about that. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you be? When there are all kinds of videos of Moscow like locking down and there's been all kinds of things, in the wind. It looks like it is de-escalating though at the moment. This was from early in the morning. Putin made a speech in which he mentioned treason, mutiny. Prigozhin was saying that Putin had made the wrong choice, and soon Russia will have a new president. I mean, there were a lot of words put out there. Received reports of Russians conducting airstrikes on Wagner forces. A military warplane is heading from UFA to Moscow, known for Russia's nuclear bunkers, etc. I don't know. It's a fairly big mess for Russia. Reports are emerging that the Russian National Guard was heading to fight with the Wagner group, Wagner. Anyways, it's something to pay attention to, though. I think it's something to pay attention to. If there are things afoot that could possibly escalate the situation. And there are things afoot. I mean, it seems like it seems like the U.S. leaders are, they don't seem to care about there seems to be a brinksmanship going on, where there have been threats of using nuclear weapons. But it looks like this is not what, that it's not happening. But it was a huge story for about not even 24 hours, maybe about 24 hours. Sorry, just looking at some different things. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to put out too many things. Uh, that may or may not be true. But apparently, hundreds of trucks have rolled out to block the entrances to Moscow from the city's ring road. Oh, you guys didn't see that. But this is interesting. Why don't I jump to this, and we'll talk about how hot it is in some places very soon. This is from Michael Tracy, and these are two senators convened a press conference yesterday to explicitly threaten U.S.-NATO war against Russia. They will be destroyed. They will be eviscerated. There was once a time in the very distant past when this type of thing used to be seen as unhinged Dr. Strangelove lunacy. Let's get some sound on this.
Senator Blumenthal and I want to put everybody in this body and this Congress on notice that the threat of a use of a nuclear device by Russia is real. And the best way to deter it is to give them clarity, the Russians, as to what happens if they do that. They will be in a war with NATO. Poland is at immediate risk if the use of tactical nuclear weapons or destruction of a nuclear power plant causes radiation to spread, as almost certainly it would, causing significant human harm. This is not a kind of reckless or panicky resolution. It's based on fact and science, and it is meant to send a message to Vladimir Putin and even more directly to his military. They will be destroyed. They will be eviscerated if they use tactical nuclear weapons, or if they destroy a nuclear plant in a way that threatens surrounding NATO nations. Article 5 is there for a reason.
Wow. So they will be obliterated even if they destroy a nuclear plant. And what's the problem with that? Anybody have any answers to that one? What's the problem with that line of logic? Anybody? The problem with that is that how many seeming incidents that were done by Russia, propagated by Russia, and turned out to not be done by Russia were, right? How much finger pointing have we seen already? Oh, they did this thing. And he's saying we'll destroy them if they destroy a nuclear plant. But does that mean, are you going to confirm it was them that destroyed the plant? You're setting. You see what that is. They're setting them up for being blamed for something that, could be debated in the future on whether they did or not. But as pretext for, all right, we got to go get them. We got to go in there and get them. I mean, that is lunacy. That is absolute lunacy. Mind-boggling. And these ghouls, wowzers. I don't know. I'm going to go. I have some more things to say about that, but I'm going to move to some climate change stuff first, and then we'll go back to that. But first, We're live on Rockfin. Rockfinners, how you doing? We got people watching on Rockfin. Cool. We're live on Colin. Coloners, I don't know, colonizers. Where are you? I don't mean to calling people colonizers. It's just funny. Anyways, I think so. Y'all not hanging out on Colin because you don't think I'm going to take any calls today? I don't know. Anyways, we're live on Colin. I'm sure people will come in eventually. Colin is weird like that. Some days there's a ton of people hanging out, and some days there's like one. Schultze, I gotta agree with your comment there. I just can't count on any Western news concerning Russia or the Ukraine being 99%, not being 99%, the complete opposite of anything they tell us, right? So, and that's real. So, anyways, yeah, Judy Truitt. I was watching the Duran. They did a lot of really good coverage on what was going on there, Prigozhin, and yeah, they have great information. I mean, everybody did a video on that this morning. Garland Nixon, the Duran. Jimmy Dore was on this morning and didn't really know what was going on. But I mean, it really was. I had no idea what was going on until late last night, and a friend told me, hey, have you seen this thing? And I was like, no. And so I started reading up on it, and all of a sudden I, was deluged with news about it. Oh, there's all the Colin listeners. How you doing, Colin listeners? They're all here. The gang's all here. How you doing, guys? Great to see you. All right, so I'm going to move to, we're going to move back to some climate change stuff, and then we're going to move back to some other news. But real quick, the very best ways to support this channel, paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo @Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App @Red Llama Music. All these links are in the description box below. These are like the best ways to support me because they're very direct. Buymeacoffee.com/Black Bear News. Of course, you can super chat, Super Ray, Patreon, etc. You can buy a t-shirt, etc. I got Black Bear News t-shirts. There's a link for that too. Yeah, generally the Duran is very good for like world politics and especially what's happening in Europe. Generally pretty good on that stuff. Yeah, so by the time I had gotten this video all together and sat down to talk to you guys, the whole thing seemed to be on the decline. The whole story seemed to be like, no, nothing to see here. It's fine. That was a very quick news story arc, incredibly quick, because last night I was like, what? There's a coup? And you could hear the pigeons say, coup, coup. You guys know that joke? Bill Hicks. It's a pretty good joke. Sorry, I was biting Bill Hicks. Kameshwari Kate, you had no idea you had Colin? Yeah. Colin's pretty cool, actually. I really like this app. I've been meaning to do a podcast for quite a while. I wanted to stream I've been doing videos daily, live streams, and I wanted to do a podcast obviously I'm not delivering my podcast to, say, Apple or other places, and I suppose I could. Golly gee, I just, it's just one more thing for me to do in a day where I have very little time to do anything. So I'll get there eventually. Anyways, but Colin allows me to do, a podcast version of this show, and also to get calls, which is pretty awesome. I think that's kind of cool, or kind of cool. Anyways, I'll stop now. The North Atlantic Ocean continues to defy logic. Anomalies are still spiking. Still spiking. This looks like a Bitcoin chart. And it should not look like a Bitcoin chart on any level. It should look like a temperature anomaly chart. It should not look like a Bitcoin chart. This is bad. This is bad. This is not good. The North Atlantic continues to defy logic. Anomalies are still spiking, now 0.7 C above record territory, and 2.5 Fahrenheit above normal. It's hard to put into words how difficult it is to achieve those numbers across an entire basin. I mean, I have no words. If you can't look at that and go, I don't know, gulp. I don't know how anybody looks at that and goes, no, nothing to see here. All right, my friends. All right, my weather is always changing, friends. All right, if you look back in history, you can see that it's been this hot before. All you guys, I want you to, you got something to say about this? No, you don't have anything to say about this. Got a little excited there for a second. But who knows? Who knows? Somebody's saying this is in standard deviation space. This is it in standard deviation space. Just unbelievable. Anyways. It's pretty wild. I don't know. Is there I mean, now granted, if somebody has, they're leaving out this data or this data or this data to inflate the numbers. All right, please give it to me. But I don't know why they would do that. I don't know why they would do that. Because this is a measurement against, right, these same. Do you understand what I'm saying? All these other lines are formed by the same measurements. In the same measurements, right? So they're not like leaving out everything that went into all these other lines. And you can see from this graph, it started here. It started around in the vicinity of the area of the, okay, it's hot, but we're up in the, it's getting a little hotter every year territory. And then boof. Literally off the charts. Again, I don't know how you look at that and go, uh-oh. And don't go, uh-oh. All right, I gotta make this a little quicker. I have way too many things to cover today. Absolutely mind-blowing heat record in Austria just before midnight. Oberndorf with phone effect rose to 36.1 C, beating its monthly heat record. It's one of the highest temperatures ever recorded in Europe at midnight. And one of the very few cases a record is broken at nighttime. Midnight, 36.1 C. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that. Anyways, there's more. There's more on heat. But first, oh man, I love this post from Peter Dines. And this is, I mean, this really is, capitalism meets climate change. Business as usual, including CO2 spewing concerts, will not continue unaffected in a warming globe. If they're scared now, wait until the record ocean temperatures feed through. So look at this. Look at this rain and the hail. These are people at a concert at Red Rocks. Very, very famous venue. Everybody loves Red Rocks. Red Rocks, really, really cool. Outdoor amphitheater in Colorado. Beautiful. I've been there. Beautiful setting. Hailstorm so bad that everybody is freaking out. And this is what happens when when you're like, yay, we're going to go to a concert. Yay, we're going to go on a vacation. Yay, we're going to go do this thing. And it's like, oh, and the weather. And then it got really scary because like it rained really hard or there were floods or it was like really hot and we couldn't do the thing, that we were going to do. And for some people, it's just daily living, right? We can't do the thing that we wanted to do today, like grow food or something else, right? Or go to work or, have a home. We couldn't do that today because it got wiped out by some crazy cataclysmic weather event. Anyways, this is from Red Rocks, and we'll play this for a second. Did you see the water like streaming down the stairway? That was kind of nuts. That was really nuts. Also, I saw a friend of mine on a Facebook post is on a vacation in Greece. And it's 100 degrees in Greece. It's very warm. And, it's summer. Yeah, man, that's what happens in summer. It's very warm. And she looks like she's not having a good time because it's really, really hot. 100 degrees in Greece might be a little uncomfortable. But this is happening all the time these days. All right, I'm going to try and speed up. I'm trying to speed up. Going through these a little too slowly. But just trying to, all the poor animals, including us. This is so scary, including us. The sudden warming of Britain's seas will tear through ocean life like a wildfire. They're experiencing an ocean heat wave. As evidenced by the graph that I just showed. It's really hot in the northern hemisphere. Sea surface temperature is very hot. What happens when the chill of our seas turns to a soupy stew? Fragile ecosystems will be destroyed and food sources for wildlife will disappear. I don't know if I'm going to read this or not. One of the year's nastier surprises, sea temperatures are up to 5 C higher than usual, in part due to human-induced global heating and in part as a result of this year's El Nino effect. It is a mortal reminder of how the sea dominates our entire planet. As water temperatures reach an all-time high, the direct effect on wildlife, from seagrass to oysters and fish, will be devastating. The way wildfires take out huge areas of forest, as one scientist says. So that is happening. Also, other things that the heat does or has an effect on. The warming waters stimulate plankton blooms. Climate change may have stimulated a plankton bloom that caused thousands of dead fish to wash up along a roughly 4-kilometer stretch of beach in Thailand's southern Chumpon province on Thursday. Wow, thousands of dead fish on a beach. Haven't we been seeing a lot of this? I like how they use the word may. It may have caused it. That doesn't sound very... It doesn't sound like them overstating the case now, does it? Warmer waters do induce plankton blooms, for sure. Or algal blooms, right? When warm water meets fertilizers and whatnot that run off. Kameshwari Kate was asking, so does Colin use less data than YouTube or Rockfin? I mean, I imagine it does. I don't know. I think she left Colin. Anyways, various natural phenomena such as coral bleaching or plankton bloom have naturally occurred for thousands or tens of thousands of years. However, when global warming occurs, it intensifies and increases the frequency of existing phenomena. It does do that. And what's been happening over the last few years, it does do that. We have hit the high temperature for the year so far, world record temperature. (2023) world highest temperature was set yesterday in Iran, 51.8 C. That's somewhere in the 124 or 5 degree range, right? More days, over the next few days, more countries will reach 50 C in the Middle East and possibly Mexico. Stay tuned. Let's see. The heat in certain regions is becoming a deadly killer. The actual death toll is probably much higher than the official figures. Morgues full and hospitals overwhelmed. As India's heat wave death toll hits 170. Y'all been hearing about this? No. Probably not covering this on the nightly news. Hospitals filled to capacity amidst India's scorching heat wave. Death toll continues to rise. 119 people have died in Uttar Pradesh from heat-related illnesses over the last several days. Other residents say they fear going outside after mid-morning. So many people are dying from the heat that we're not getting a minute's time to rest. Golly. Okay, this actually reminds me, has anybody read the book Ministry for the Future? It reminds me of the opening of the book. And I have another post that speaks to that. So many people are dying from the heat that we are not getting a minute's time to rest, said Jitendra Kumar Yadav, a hearse driver in Dioria town, 110 kilometers from Balia in the state of Uttar Pradesh. On Sunday, I carried 26 dead bodies. Temperatures have been consistently above normal recently in northern regions of India. Some areas have experienced highs of 43.5 degrees Celsius. A heat wave is declared in India if the temperatures are at least 4.5 degrees Celsius above normal, or if the temperature is above 45 C. And they're having power outages as well, because when it gets hot, everyone wants to stay cool, and then the power goes out, and then everybody's hot again. So that let's see. Yeah, Peter Dines actually posted something about the ministry for the future, but saying that, could be anywhere, that scene. Right, the opening scene of this book is set in India, and a massive heat wave kills basically, I think, a million people or something like that. Maybe millions. But very devastating heat wave in which so many people die that it's one of those oh my God moments for the world, right? The entire world is like, oh dang. And that would be an oh my God moment. Anyways, he says the ministry for the future, chapter 1, feels like it could have been written for Texas or Mexico. They're making the maps all red. How come the maps are so red? Because it's hot, fool. Red indicates heat, fool. They're trying to overplay this. I don't know. Let's see. There's more on heat, guys. I'm gonna. This is all the heat, all the excess heat that's going on in the world right now, or not all of it, but much of it. Unfortunately, the extreme heat is here to stay in Mexico and Texas, and it's even here to expand to Oklahoma next days. In Mexico, the heat will also intensify sharply in the west. Temperatures in Hermosillo, Sonora, can reach record levels on Sunday, 48 C to 50 C. Ow. Youch. And look at this weird blob of cold here that reaches all the way down to Southern California. This is why we're experiencing. It's supposed to get like super duper hot next week, but right now we're being spared because of this weird like cold trough here. But that looks like it was going to go away. And China also still experiencing very high temperatures. Northeast China is living the harshest heat wave in history by far. In its harshest heat wave. Sorry, the typos. Beijing and Tianjin had 3 consecutive days above 40 C before they never had 2 consecutive days of 40 C. I mean, that's kind of a big difference, right? Oh, yeah, historically this has happened before, but has it happened for 3 consecutive days? No, it has not. Mongolia highlands, again above 38 C. Records fall by dozens every day, and it will get worse. Weeks of record heat ahead. I think that's all I have on that, guys. Did we do this one? Maybe I missed one. Oh yeah, I did this one. Okay. So there was a lot of talk of the CIA being involved in with the Wagner Group thing. But what is confirmed is that apparently the CIA was involved in the recent presidential election in Brazil. Did you guys know that? And Glenn Greenwald covers this. The CIA, knowing it would be disclosed, is now boasting to corporate media about the extensive work they did in Brazil in 2022. So that actually might lead you to have some questions, right? I mean, we know they're very busy. They're very busy a lot, a very busy lot. They like to be, doing things, making things happen. But this doesn't this call into question, because they were saying there was a big protest to Bolsonaro. Trust me, I'm no fan of Bolsonaro. I'm probably more of a fan of Lula than I am Bolsonaro. However, if there was, dirty tricks going on in the election, I'm not interested in my side being right because they were wrong. Do you understand? If your side is right because they were wrong, then they're not right. It's very simple. It's kind of very simple, and it's also kind of about the will of the people. Right? If somebody won an election because it was the will of the people, that's what elections are about. That is called democracy. You may not like the result. God dang it. You may not like the result of democracy. But if you like democracy, then you will accept that result as democratic. Right? You may not like the result of data and evidence, but if the result of data and evidence is the truth, then you kind of have to accept the truth of the data and the evidence. You can't resist the data and the evidence to insist on your own reality. That's not reality. Anyways, I hope that's clear. Anyways, the CIA, knowing it would be disclosed, is now boasting to corporate media about the extensive work they did in Brazil in 2022. As always, the CIA claims its actions were noble and motivated by a benevolent desire to safeguard what? Democracy. That's not democracy. Where have we heard this before? This is a threat to our democracy. It's a threat to our democracy. It's a threat to our democracy. Threat to our democracy. Democracy is a threat to our democracy. We can't have this democracy because it might threaten our what? Are you clear on that now? Anyways, from System Update, Glenn Greenwald, left liberals are claiming the CIA interfered in Brazil's 2022 election not to influence the outcome, but as a selfless defense of democracy abroad. It's a perspective you can only have if you never open a history book, and one the left used to reject. Let's listen to this for a little bit.
So let's look at what the Financial Times reported. Quote, the discreet U.S. campaign to defend Brazil's election. Amid widespread speculation about a coup attempt, the Biden administration pressured politicians and generals to respect the result. As Brazil prepared to hold the presidential election last October, many governments around the world viewed the vote with a mounting sense of foreboding. The far-right incumbent Jair Bolsonaro was openly flirting with subverting the country's democracy. He attacked the electoral process, claiming that the electronic voting machines used by Brazilian authorities were unreliable and was calling for a paper ballot instead. He was actually calling for a paper ballot backup. He constantly hinted to enable audits. He constantly hinted at the risk of the election being stolen, echoing claims made by Donald Trump in the U.S. But in the end, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's win in October was accepted without serious challenge by Bolsonaro, and the veteran left-wing politician was inaugurated on January 1st. The fact that the election was not seriously challenged is a testament to the strength of Brazil's institutions, but it was also in part the result of a quiet, year-long pressure campaign by the U.S. government to urge the country's political and military leaders to respect and safeguard democracy, which has not been widely reported. Okay, so this is the claim. Explicitly, they're saying that the goal of CIA interference and the campaign by the State Department was not to help Lula win the election, even though the Biden administration was openly cheering for Lula to win. That was not what they were trying to do. Perish the thought. What they were trying to do instead was, quote, safeguard democracy. How unbelievably gullible do you have to be to believe that the reason the CIA interferes in other countries' internal politics and the State Department and the Pentagon do it along with them is because they care about democracy. They want to safeguard democracy. They don't care who wins or loses. They don't have any preferences. They're apolitical. All they want is to make sure that democracy is respected. That's the claim. And I cannot tell you how many liberals or leftists yesterday were telling me that that really is what the CIA was trying to do. It is unbelievable to watch that. Now, the Financial Times goes on, quote, the aim was to drum home two consistent messages to restive generals in Brazil and Bolsonaro's close allies. Washington was neutral on the election result. That is an absolute lie. Washington was not neutral on the election result. Washington is never neutral on the election result. Of course, Washington wants the leaders they perceive will most serve their interests to win the election. Like every country does when they get involved in other countries' internal affairs. And yet, here's the Financial Times telling you with a straight face. Washington was neutral on the election result, but would not stand for any attempt to question the voting process or the result. Why is that even something the United States government believes it has the right to do? What does that mean? The United States would not stand for any attempt to question the voting process or the result. What right does the United States have to say to Brazil, we won't stand for any attempt to question the voting process? This is something that Brazilians, like most countries around the world, used to object to when the CIA did. And yet now it seems to be welcomed.
I'm going to leave it right there. This is coming from the same people who insisted that that Russia influenced the election of Trump, and right, they questioned the validity of, this is what I'm saying, they questioned the validity of Trump's presidency from the day after the election. Yeah, you're right. Everybody's right. He does look a little Hitler Youth. It is true. Right. He's a red armband away from looking like a Hitler Youth. You're right. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. And what about this? I'm going to quickly cover this story about Hunter Biden, who just pleaded guilty to tax and weapons charges. Your husband sounds like a cool guy, Kameshwari Kate. Sounds like a joy and a delight. No, it sounds very cool. Anybody who walks around quoting Socrates and Plato, I think, is somebody I would enjoy being around. White House National Security Council coordinator walks out after being asked about. So he just pled guilty. And what was just revealed was a WhatsApp message that was leaked that reveals basically Hunter Biden demanding payment demanding a bribery payment, demanding the fulfillment of a bribery payment, and pretty much indicating, and also with his dad, he's like, I'm sitting here with my dad, and we're wondering if you're going to send us the money, right? Like it doesn't get any more obvious than that. I'm sitting here with my dad, and we're gonna, I don't know, we're gonna get really mad at you if you don't send us this money. That's basically what this text message said. I know that Hunter Biden doesn't sound anything like that. He does not talk with an accent like that. He's just a regular dude from Delaware. Anyways, White House National Security Council coordinator walks out after being asked about Hunter Biden's WhatsApp message with messages with China implicating President Biden. Implicating the message. Here it is. I am sitting here with my father. It doesn't get any more direct. This is not a correlation. This is direct evidence. I'm sitting, if this text message was not forged, made up, if it truly is a text message from Hunter Biden to this Chinese person, anyways, I'm going to keep reading. I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made was not fulfilled. Tell the director I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. And now means tonight. And gee, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, his father, Joe Biden, and my ability to forever hold a grudge that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. He indicated 3 times that his dad was sitting next to him. Is this proof Joe Biden was involved in his son's dealings while in office? Well, duh. I don't know. Hold on, let me think about that one for a second. No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe he was making up that his dad was sitting. Maybe he was like, maybe he texted his dad and said like, I'm going to tell him you're sitting next to me. How about that? You think that'll work? Again, that would implicate that he knew something was going on, right? Let's listen to this.
The House Ways and Means Committee yesterday released documents, their authenticity nowhere challenged. That included a July 2017 WhatsApp message sent by Hunter Biden to Henry Zhao, a Chinese Communist Party official, which stated in its entirety, and I quote, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father, unquote. So just a couple of questions about this. First, does this not undermine the president's claim during the 2020 campaign and the reaffirmations of that claim by his 2 press secretaries since then, that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with him?
No, and I'm not going to comment further on this. James, let me save you some. Let me save you some breath. If you're going to ask about this, I am not addressing. I know you do more than I'd like you to have. I am not going to address this issue from this podium. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a.
Anyways, see you later. Okay. It's pretty damning. I think I'm going to end with this story because I'm about out of time, but there's a little more. I'm going to read a little more about this. Hunter Biden's alleged WhatsApp message fuels GOP assertions of corruption, even after plea. They're still making it seem like the GOP is crazy for being worried about this. His plea deal with a Trump-appointed prosecutor has animated GOP claims. They had to point out that it was a Trump-appointed prosecutor. I mean, sure, okay. Isn't the President Biden? Anyways, the Justice Department's 5-year probe into Hunter Biden lurched towards a conclusion this week with the announcement of a plea deal in which he will not serve any jail time. Did you all see that Sam Bankman-Fried, oh crap, I now I'm completely blanking out on the crypto. What was the company? God dang it. I'm completely blank on it. And I had an account with this FTX. Thank you. Jesus. It took me, my brain was like, Sam Bankman-Fried, all charges dropped. Did you guys see that? Very quietly. All charges dropped. Nothing to see here. Billions of dollars stolen, disappeared. And we just dropped the charges on this dude? Huh. This guy was connected to the Democratic Party. Huh. Okay. Did y'all see that? Uh-huh. Yeah. I wonder what's going on there. Maybe they don't want him on trial. Maybe they don't want the truth to come out about what was going on with FTX, because the truth might be a little bit scary. I think all of the charges were dropped, Kate. From what I read, maybe I'm wrong, but I saw that all the charges were quietly dropped. But his ties with the Democratic Party are pretty, were made very apparent. Right, they didn't want Epstein on trial either. They don't want him on trial. They don't want him deposed. They don't want him to spill the beans. They don't want anybody to, they don't want the prosecution or the defense, to come out and make some claims about who he's working with. Anyways, that hasn't stopped congressional Republicans from leveling fresh accusations of corruption against the president and his family. GOP lawmakers on Thursday released transcripts from 2 IRS whistleblowers who together complained in April that the Justice Department sabotaged investigators' efforts to level harsher penalties against the younger Biden, an accusation at odds with statements made by the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney who prosecuted the case. Huh. The latest whistleblower allegations, well, what does that matter then? So apparently this Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, went kind of easy on him. So what does that have to do with anything? Okay. Anyways, they say it like it means something. Okay. The latest whistleblower allegations follow a string of investigative efforts by the GOP-led House Oversight Committee. And its chairman, Representative James Comer, that have thus far yielded few meaningful results. The White House has repeatedly downplayed Republican accusations as unfounded innuendo intended to harm President Biden's political standing, and the Justice Department on Thursday dismissed the claims by the IRS whistleblowers. Anyways, as part of their rollout on Thursday of allegations that senior Justice Department officials stymied the probe into Hunter Biden's taxes, congressional Republicans have seized on a July 2017 WhatsApp message in which the younger Biden purportedly threatened a Chinese business associate by invoking his father's political connections. And I already read all that, so. ABC News would not immediately verify the WhatsApp message, but Republicans say it undercuts President Biden's claim that he never discussed overseas business endeavors with his son. On top of all the allegations that, other bribery allegations, on top of the allegations that there was a bank account opened for Hunter Biden in, I think, Malta. by a Burisma official, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on and on. But anyways, that's pretty damning. I don't know what's going to come of that, but again, for the people, I know that people say that, oh, Biden's going to be president again. Oh, that's a hard one. You could sell Biden beating Trump in the last election. You could sell it on, the chaos of the pandemic. You could sell it on, Trump is bad. He's a bad dude. It's a bad man. But, when the evidence is, really stacking up against Biden like this, I don't know. It gets harder to sell. And even if you, I don't know how you sell not running a primary when Biden is in all this trouble. I don't know how you sell, not having some other people contend in a serious way for the presidency. I don't know. I mean, all of that doesn't really matter, right? I think you're right. Okay, guys. That does it for me. I've got to go. One more time, great way to support the show. PayPal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, Venmo @Kevin Sandbloom, Cash App @Red Llama Music, BuyMeCoffee.com/Black Bear News, and all the other ways to support the show. And thank you all for hanging out with me every single day on the interwebs. I will be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and until next time, peace.